YouTube! I have returned, and I bring forth the destruction of the internet! The hands of death could not hold me. The sisters of fate could not stop me. And I will get my revenge, because my vengeance is everything, and death is in my blood.
Today, we are going to be taking a look at the epic conclusion of both God of War 3 and God of War Ragnarok. Both titles follow the overwhelmingly popular Kratos at different stages of his godhood. Each of these games take a similar but unique approach to video game style, use of weaponry, and storytelling in order to achieve masterpiece status. As a hardcore God of War fan, I find it necessary to dive deep into the similarities and differences of these games in order to celebrate the evolution of the God of War saga. First, I want to examine the game style that is present in both God of War titles. The original trilogy of God of War used a third-person point of view with a zoomed-out eagle's view or God's view. On the other hand, the follow-up games reinvented the same third-person view while zooming in for a more intimate over-the-shoulder perspective. Typically, God of War has been a solo adventure with departures to that formula here and there. However, 2018's God of War broke the mold with Kratos' son, Atreus, who would accompany him a majority of his mythological endeavors. With the inclusion of a child, it is safe to say that Kratos would have to tone down some of his mature-rated behavior. Anybody familiar with the younger Kratos can testify to his ruthlessness towards his enemies and his deep lust for the women. The older Kratos still struggles with these character flaws, but manages to subdue them in order to prevent repeating past mistakes and preventing the passing on of undesired traits to his son Loki. The Greek and Norse versions of God of War both seem to model their game style around the mythology at hand and the immediate circumstances that Kratos currently faces at any given time, allowing for both styles to be perfectly suited for their respective worlds. Next, let's look at the exotic weapons at Kratos' disposal. In God of War 3, Kratos begins with the Blades of Chaos, which are soon upgraded into the Blades of Exile. These are the groundbreaking weapons attached to chains that were seared into Kratos' flesh as part of his allegiance to the original God of War, Ares. These are extremely effective weapons when it comes to clearing the obstacles placed by the gods. Attached to these blades is a magical summoning of lost Spartan soldiers that protects Kratos in an impenetrable shield dome, while impaling surrounding foes with spears, followed with a hailing of arrows that finishes off any survivors. Secondly, Kratos carries with him the Blade of Olympus, a weapon that Zeus used to wipe out the Titans in the Great War. This is a ridiculously powerful weapon that can only be wielded for a limited amount of time, perhaps due to its draining abilities. In a not-so-nice manner, Kratos acquires the Bow of Apollo, which he uses to shoot arrows at a godly rate of fire, or can be charged up to release a single shot accompanied with flame. After defeating Hades, Kratos claims the Claws of Hades, weapons of dark, soul-sucking magic that allow for inhuman maneuvering and allow for the summoning of strong creatures that fight for Kratos for a brief moment. After a foot chase that puts Kratos' patience to the test, he is forced to remove the legs of the messenger god Hermes and claims his special boots, blessed with Godspeed, for himself. These shoes can be used to run into enemies with breathtaking speed, causing them to be dispersed into the air in slow motion. In an epic battle of brother rivalry, Kratos kills the one and only Hercules and slips his fist into the Nemean cestus, a pair of lion-like gauntlets that pack a heavy punch and allow for ground-smashing abilities that create a heavy force of energy that obliterates enemies in close proximity to Kratos. Last but not least, in a questionable transaction, Kratos gets his hands on the Nemesis Whip, an electrically charged set of spinning blades that can be used to violently shred targets and also release a bolt of green electricity that can stun multiple enemies at once. Now, 2018's God of War surprisingly starts off with the Blades of Chaos nowhere to be found, and instead gives you the Leviathan Axe, a weapon that boomerangs in a similar fashion to Thor's hammer, a suitable weapon for Kratos' entry into the Norse realm. This time around, Kratos does not use a bow, but rather Atreus does, and is semi-controlled by the player as to when to let his arrows fly. So in a way, Loki is a weapon. As Kratos delves deeper into this foreign land, he realizes that he will not be able to overcome all of the Norse obstacles without retrieving the native to his homeland weapon, the Blades of Chaos. Along his journey, he also gets various shields that provide varying levels of defensive and offensive maneuvers. To wrap up his collection, Kratos goes underwater to obtain the Draupnir Spear, a weapon of deadly precision and explosive outcomes. While Ragnarok has fewer weapons than God of War 3, The weapons in Ragnarok are far more customizable and offer multiple magical specials that can be swapped in and out and upgraded based on preference. In my opinion, the weapons in God of War 3 were not of much help when dealing with extremely difficult situations, other than those that they were specifically designed for. While in Ragnarok, I felt that all the weapons were rather useful and enjoyable to use in challenging encounters that required a variety of weapon choice for the ease of success. Lastly, I would like to compare how Santa Monica Studios, the developer of the God of War series, tackled storytelling in both God of War 3 and God of War Ragnarok. First off, with technological advances, games have grown substantially, and with that growth gives game creators the ability to do things that may have been impossible on previous consoles. God of War 3 follows a more linear path, with high-res in-game engine rendering for spectacular cinematics. God of War 3 was somewhat of a death-defying roller coaster that placed players on a predestined path of greatness and near perfection, and excellence, for its time. As a conclusion to an unbelievably gory and amazing trilogy, the third outing wastes no time and gets straight to the point of what was started back in 2005. Fast forward to 2022, and we have a game of two console generations later, and we are plunged into a new world that allows Kratos to atone for past mistakes. With the sandbox open world trend taking the video game industry by storm, we are taken off of the controlled tracks of yesteryear and given free reign of Kratos' direction. This method tends to put storytelling on the back burner in favor of freedom to do as a player likes. However, Ragnarok manages to stay true to the epic storytelling of mythology, with incredible pacing that allows for endless exploration of undeniably beautiful environments on a scale of godlike proportions. The story surrounding the Greek gods spans more titles and plays out with a stronger pacing in terms of storytelling and overall reason as to why we must create so much carnage. Whereas the story surrounding the Norse gods has less games, but each game is so massive it's hard to say whose story is stronger. As a big fan of Greek mythology, I must say I may be somewhat biased in my opinion on the matter. However, my lack of knowledge on many of the aspects of Norse mythology allowed for every encounter in that universe to be rich with fresh and new experiences. Sound off in the comments. Which of Kratos' escapades are your favorite? God of War is a force to be reckoned with, and has yet to disappoint me. They continue to set the bar higher and higher, and will forever remain as a priority on my list of anticipation. After comparing the style, arsenal of weapons, and storytelling methods, the only conclusion I can draw is that I love Santa Monica Studios, and I sincerely hope they continue the God of War series, or even a new IP. Who knows? Anything is possible.